Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Common English Mistakes. Don't just learn, improve. A bit different today. There's no mistake. We're just going to look at something which students usually find very difficult, mixed conditionals. Personally, I think this is because the way students study and the way teachers teach them, both in the classroom and on places like YouTube, is way too complicated. And might work for when you're doing an exercise, but when you have to use them in the real world, it's not going to work. So what we're going to do is break down the individual parts of the conditionals and really understand what we're saying and why we're saying it. If you can use them separately on their own, then when you come to put them together to make a mixed conditional, you're going to find it much easier and do it much more automatically, like a native speaker would. It will also help you to be more accurate with second and third conditionals and wishes, because it's the same pattern and the same concept. So the first part we're going to look at is would for hypothetical actions. For example, would you live in another country? Myself, yeah, I would probably move to another country in Europe, but I wouldn't live in Asia because it's too far from my family. Or would you eat an insect? Again, myself, I would try an insect like a cricket, but I wouldn't make them part of my diet. I spent 20 minutes in a lesson the other day just practicing lots of these questions to really make sure students understand that anytime you want to be hypothetical, would is your modal verb. And then I usually teach could for hypothetical ability or possibility. So, okay, I wouldn't eat insects, hypothetically, but could I? Would I have the ability? Yes, I could, in a life or death situation. So once students really understand would is for hypothetical actions, I ask them why and get them to think about hypothetical situations using the past. So for example, why would you move to another country? They say things like, if I got a good job, or if I met someone from that country romantically, or maybe if I wanted to see the world and travel. Those are all past simple, and usually that's the one we use, but of course we can use past continuous. Why would you go to hospital? If I was feeling very ill, or if I was bleeding heavily, or if my shoulder was still hurting after 2 weeks. That's with an if clause, but it's the same concept, part of the same pattern when we use wishes. I wish I had more free time. I wish I wasn't working right now. I wish I could speak Portuguese better. Hypothetical situations, we're using the past. And then the concept and pattern is also the same for hypothetical actions with wish, when we wish for a change or something to happen. For example, I wish that dog would stop barking. I wish my housemate would tidy up. I wish the government would improve public transport. If you can understand that hypothetical situations, we use the past. Hypothetical actions or results, we use would. Then you don't need to study something like second conditional because it's already there. You just put if in front. If I got a good job in another country, I would move there. And it's also important to break down the conditional into the separate parts, because in the real world, people often use them separately. For example, I've been asked, would you ever open your own school? Hypothetical action or result. And I go, yeah, if I had enough students. Then the next thing is the hypothetical past. And I like to ask this question. What would you change about last year? Here, For hypothetical past actions or results, they're going to use would, have, V3, or past participle. And students often say, I would have studied more, or maybe a negative, I wouldn't have bought this phone because it's not very good. And again, we also have could for hypothetical ability or possibility. Anytime we want to move a modal into the past, it's always going to have the same structure. Modal have, V3. So I ask, could you have studied anything different at school or university? And they'll say things like, I could have studied history instead of science. Or at university, I could have done a law degree. Or maybe I could have studied in a different city or country. Then we also have should for the hypothetical past correct decision, what we call hindsight. A lot of time people say, I should have gone to bed earlier and I shouldn't have stayed at that bar until 5 a.m. So that's hypothetical past, actions and abilities, etc. Then I like to ask this question. How could last week have been better? Practicing hypothetical situations in the past. Here, using past perfect, or maybe past perfect continuous. And students say things like, if I'd done better on my test, if it hadn't rained on Saturday, or if I hadn't been working. And again, we see the same pattern, use the same structure, past perfect continuous for past wishes. Because a past wish is a hypothetical situation in the past. I wish I hadn't bought this phone. I wish I hadn't stayed at that bar until 5 a.m. Or I wish it hadn't been raining on my birthday. And again, if you understand the chunks of language, you don't really need to study third conditional. It's already there. Just put an if before the situation. If it hadn't rained yesterday, we would have gone to the beach. And again, in the real world, native speakers often use these separately. Last week, my American football team lost, and my friend said, it sucks they lost, they should have won. Hypothetical correct situation. And I go, yeah, if they had just been a bit more disciplined. Hypothetical past situation. So where are we? Well, from everything we've covered, we have this nice table, which shows the structures for hypothetical situations, actions, results, possibility, etc., present and past. And this is the basis, the second conditional, third conditional, present wishes, action wishes, past wishes. And the more you understand this table, the better you're going to use all of these structures. The pattern's the same, and it's all the same concept. And then when a hypothetical situation and result are at different times, we just take the chunks of language that we need. The good news is that in life, the more common one is generally easier to use, and students often use this instinctively. So up here, the hypothetical situation in the past is not forgetting his girlfriend's birthday. And the hypothetical result now is her not being mad. Take the chunks of language that you need and say, if I hadn't forgotten my girlfriend's birthday, she wouldn't be mad now. The other one, students usually find more difficult, and I think this is just because the context isn't very common. We actually don't use this very much in the real world. However, up here, the hypothetical situation in the present is knowing it's the person's birthday. The hypothetical past result is buying a gift. So again, take the chunks of language you need from the table and say, if I knew it was your birthday, I would have bought you a gift. When I thought of examples of when to use this, I think mostly it's going to be state verbs, like know or something like having a possession. For example, if I had a car, I would have picked you up last night. Anyway, explanation over. Personally, I think if you had watched this video earlier, your understanding of conditionals, wishes, etc. would be better now. If you agree, do make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and maybe share the video with others. Would be much appreciated if you could help this channel grow. Anyway, let's just do a little bit of practice and improve. Just pause the video, look at these sentences here, think what the situation and the action or result are, and take the bits of language from the table to complete the sentences. And well done if you said, if I didn't have this important meeting today, I would have come to your party last night. Then the teacher wouldn't be angry now if you had done your homework last week. And then now try to do the same, but just representing these pictures. In the first picture, the team aren't champions now, and in the second, they didn't buy the house. So see if you can represent those with two mixed conditionals. And well done if you said, if he had scored the penalty, they would be champions now. And then the second one, if the house was cheaper, in general, they would have bought it. Something like that, you're using it well. Anyway, I hope that's clearer for you now. The way to understand and use mixed conditionals effectively is understanding the individual chunks of language. If you do that, you're going to use these more automatically and instinctively. And it will also help you be more accurate with second, third conditionals and wishes. Other than that, I'm going to be live for 30 minutes where I'll ask some mixed conditional questions. You can have a chance to practice the language. Either I'll see you there or in the video in the next few days. Until next time, see ya.